You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim. Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks. I am your host, Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, as I like to call him. Tucker! Tuck, how we doing?
What's going on, Kyle?
Same
it's
old
hard.
shit, just a different day.
It's hard to hear you say Tucky without doing the pump handle.
Yeah, I saw you gyrating over
Come on
there.
now.
How you been, man? We took a week off.
We did.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I'm not sorry. I think a refresh for the crowd, refresh for us. We're hitting the ground running, and we took a break at the right time because it got a little bit popping. You know.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. Probably too much to cover. We actually made some time to touch on Crown Jewel, me and listener of the show, Aaron Oro. So
Great guy.
If you were able to catch us on our Twitter app, On the Mark, we went live and we gave our thoughts on that show. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I did the past weekend other than going to Indy. What have you been up to now that we had this time off?
Just teaching, man. No baseball stuff going on. The weather's getting cold, you know. Pulling the hoodies and the toques out of the closet, you know. And,
I don't think I've ever heard that word in my life.
It's Canadian, eh?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know much Canadian stuff. Sorry to our Canadian listeners out there.
We apologize to you, Maple Leafs. But
Sorry.
Life has been good. Excited to talk about the current products because I think it's a little bit more interesting. So
Yeah, the week we took off, it wasn't that interesting other than maybe one thing that happened at Crown Jewel. But then we get to last Friday night, and the NXT invasion happens because of what happened at Crown Jewel. But before we get into all of that, we got to remind everybody that we are proudly a part of the Overtime Sports Network. At otsportsnetwork.com is where you can find us. And Tuck, what else are you going to find when you go to that website?
Man, you're not just going to find a couple of podcasts hanging out. You're going to find a smattering of blogs covering all corners of the sports world: football, basketball, wiffle ball, wrestling.
Baseball was just posted last night from Jeremy Radijak, the co-host of Wheelhouse Baseball.
At Jeremy Chai Sox on Twitter, yeah. So it's just a bunch of like-minded people, you know, cutting it up, get on doing some blogs, doing some podcasts. So. For the love of the games.
Yes, that is
all
true.
The different ones.
I am not paying anyone that is a part of OTSN, unfortunately.
Still waiting on that.
Yeah, I'm waiting on it as
check
well.
From OTSN Inc.
So when I get my check, I'll let you guys know when you're getting yours. But where can you follow the network on Twitter?
If you go to @_OTSN, you will find the Overtime Sports Network. You can also follow myself at JimTuck89. You can send me a DM. You can DM the Overtime Sports Network Twitter handle. You can also send one to @TooSweetKyle.
Too sweet. Because it goes down in the DM.
Dude,
That's what they say.
we want you to work with us and help us. We're always looking for content creators and graphic designers even. So hit us up, man.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of content, I think our website's pretty much a full go now, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, we're getting there. The overtime, the actual OTSN tab has to get a little bit more juice. The hosts page, I've got to work on the formatting for that. The streamer, the player on the front of the page always wants you to listen to episode 8, which was a great episode.
It did well. Wasn't that our most listened to episode?
That was our most listened to episode, so maybe that's why it keeps popping up. But episode 11, I'd like that one to be listened to a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening right now, and I know we got some loyal listeners out
As
there,
always.
Mikey Wilson, Ian, Ryan Bogus,
no doubt.
Aaron Oros. I know you guys are listening.
Love you guys.
Throw us a retweet.
Yeah.
Retweet the actual episode with the links. It would help us out a lot. But Crown Jewel is what happened last Thursday. It was on Halloween.
Yeah, it was kind of spooky.
Was it?
No.
No, it was pretty much your standard Saudi Arabian house show, kind of. But overall thoughts on it. I gave my thoughts on Twitter. They know what I thought. So what did you really think of this show as a whole?
It was better than what I expected. It was better than what I expected. Some of the marquee matchups, the Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, give me your thoughts on that.
So I was actually much more in favor of it than the two of you were. I wish it was a little bit longer, obviously. Cain nursing the injury, got it. But I liked that they took the both of them and put almost a little bit more of an MMA spin on it with some of the pieces up front, the boxing and a little bit more technically. So that was nice. The Braun Strowman Tyson Fury match was okay.
That needed. I mean, I said it before, but Tyson Fury obviously needed a little bit more time to.
Well, and I don't think there's any doubt that he's enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, lifelong fan. They always bring that up when they're talking about him.
The enthusiasm was not enough in regard to that, but the main event was good. It was cool to see Natalya and Lacey Evans.
Yeah, that was a very cool moment.
Very powerful. So I gave it a C. Very average, standard show when compared to many other ones. I would have taken Crown Jewel over Hell in a Cell.
I was going to say, we've had some bad ones this year, like some bad pay-per-views. So Crown Jewel, and this is going to sound crazy, was probably a top 3, maybe top 4 show of the year.
Yeah, it was definitely not on the worst, and
which is crazy.
Hopefully, the anticipation and excitement towards Survivor Series is building, and I kind of feel we got tickets when we got them.
Yes.
They were kind of stagnant in price.
That was like in the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a couple months ago, and I could see ticket prices in certain sections popping up $10-15, and because I think they're doing a pretty good job, and they're piggybacking off of what happened in Saudi Arabia, and it's one of those things where it's like. A piece of gold fell into their lap, and they're actually doing okay with it, which is nice.
Yeah, it is very nice. But the one thing that got really the people talking, which everyone knows by now, The Fiend is now Universal Champion. They had that Falls Count Anywhere match where the match couldn't end under any circumstances. The Fiend getting the title, was this a surprise to you? I know some people did not see this one coming.
I thought he was going to win.
You did?
I did, because I think the WWE realized what they had in him as a character and kind of had to feed the crowd.
Well, they know they've messed up at Hell in a Cell.
Well, Seth isn't getting. He's in this weird, go full heel and embrace it. He's in this weird middle ground where I'm trying to do what you want, and you guys hate me, and I can't make you happy. Well, nobody wants to see that, and I'm a Seth Rollins guy, so I'm glad that the Fiend has it. Let's see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and then when it happened, we were kind of confused on what's going to happen because Brock and The Fiend were both on the same show, but they found out a way to get Brock back on Raw, which we'll touch on a little bit. But usually we start off our shows talking about Wednesday Night Wrestling, but since last Friday's SmackDown and this week's Raw kind of led us to everything that happened here on Wednesday, I think we're going to go SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and AEW. What do you think about that?
I think it makes sense.
So if you're just an AEW fan, tune into the later part of this show. This is where you're going to tune out. But if you're a WWE fan, this is where you're going to get the WWE talk right here.
No doubt.
Right now on the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
On the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Ding, ding, ding. We usually save that for the outro, but they get it twice.
Well, that's
this
it.
Episode. And that's it. Thank you for
Episode's
joining.
done. We'll see you guys in a week.
That's
nice.
our most listened to show, by the way. No, let's start off here with SmackDown, which... blessing in disguise, I think we can say here, Tuck.
Yeah. I didn't know... I don't know that anybody actually knows what's going on, what went on with the Saudi stuff.
I think I know, because I listened to Corey Graves' new podcast that's on the podcast network, The Bump, I think it's called.
I read a little bit on Pro Wrestling Sheet, a little recap of it.
Yeah, and then I also listened to the Squared... Why am I blanking on that? Sirius FM with Bully Ray and all of them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the name because I listen to it every single day, but they kind of talked about it as like there was rumors going around that Saudi was intentionally keeping the talent there and that Vince flew off and left the talent behind on purpose.
Yeah.
It's true that Vince and Brock and I believe Tyson Fury, they had their own private jets because they can afford to fly themselves.
Well, and I also heard that there was, Vince kind of left at the time that he always left. I heard
that's
that
when he always leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
That didn't change course. They found another charter to fly, and some wrestlers were saying like the top 20 or the 20 that were preferred, but I think they were. And Corey Graves was one of those that found another charter out. at WWE's expense. But it was like the most important pieces to try to get the next show underway. I don't think it was a slight. I don't think they meant it as a slight to anybody, but yeah.
Yeah, and we obviously don't know the exact details on what happened, but obviously there were some mishaps going on with the flights, and that's what kept majority of the roster back. So this is where they have to do an audible here.
Yeah.
Triple H has to call his boys, and it all kind of started with this NXT invasion on SmackDown.
Yep.
The only people we had there were, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, and a few of the female talent. That was about it.
The cupboards were pretty bare. Yep.
And the announced team was gone. There was no Graves, no Cole.
Right.
So they brought in Tom Phillips and Renee Young, who have experience.
Amicable.
They know what they're doing. Aiden English was there for a half hour.
Yep.
And then, like I said, we'll touch on this. So it all kind of started with Shayna Baszler.
Yep.
We saw the match between Bayley and Nikki Cross because they advertised that for the Women's Championship. Bayley gets to retain here with a little help from Sasha, but then Shayna comes out afterwards. What's going on in your head when you start to see this invasion's finally happening?
Yes.
Right.
It's cool because I think what drew me into it mostly was all of the real life implications that brought everything together.
The question marks.
They weren't. It didn't feel staged. It was not a put off like NXT's just going to show up. Like NXT had a reason to show up, and they invaded, and they took. They were actually taking advantage of a down roster and live TV on Fox, and they Triple H used it to his advantage. It felt very real. Like that was sweet. And
was it too sweet, though?
No one's as too sweet as you are,
Kyle.
Cheap
plugs.
Yeah.
But I also love how Triple H now, when he's on TV, he's kind of the leader of NXT because everybody knows he runs things over there.
Yeah.
And they're treating him as this character of like, there's Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and those are their kids right there, basically.
Yeah. They're like, the manager of their baseball team, or the guy that you look to them when you have a problem with the young ones and the ones that are acting up. And it's their job to manage their talent. And that's not the same dynamic I feel with SmackDown and Raw.
There's no head of authority right now for either show.
Right. And you can trace the lineage, and I think it does make it more personal. If someone were to come out, if Paul Heyman was the guy for Raw, right, or SmackDown, or whatever brand,
which we do think behind the scenes he is the Raw guy,
but put a face behind it and make it that much more personal to almost give the wrestlers someone to wrestle for. I agree. I think there's this dynamic in NXT where those guys, they want to get out and wrestle for Triple H and put on a good show, and there's a culture there. When it's not, I don't feel the same dynamic when I watch Raw and SmackDown.
There's no like team unity with Raw and SmackDown. Like they're all just trying to outdo one another. But with NXT, this is a well-oiled machine. Everybody's part of this piece, and it just needs to go together. And
right.
That's NXT.
And if you're going to try to spin it, you're doing the draft, you're doing trades for phantom people. Mm-hmm. If we're going to put this sports spin on it, bring back the general managers, Triple H, so-and-so, and make it a war, because NXT, especially this past week, has solidified them as not a sub-roster. They are the third brand. And
I think that's fair now. Honestly, the way that they have been booked, especially this past week, NXT is up to par with Raw and SmackDown. And it didn't just stop with Shayna Baszler. I mean, we even had NXT commentators coming. We saw our guy Pat McAfee on commentary. What did you think of Pat on the call?
He's great because he's a fan that is voicing his thoughts, and not super washing it through a filter or having the commentary or the commentator psychology of washing it and then putting it out. He's like saying comments during promos or at least making like noises.
You could tell he's not reading straight from a cue card, right? Or something like that.
Okay, and that's the organic nature that he brings. And I know it's not for everybody. Not everybody likes that or enjoys it, but I like it.
I love how he kept saying, November 1st, 2019, the greatest SmackDown in the history of the WWE.
Market.
I think that was a pretty solid Pat McAfee right
there. Yeah.
Pat, if you're hiring
You're
him.
a man of many voices. Don't sleep on gags in his his imitation ability.
I watch a lot of TV. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm able to digest all of that. So, but I would honestly love to see that commentary team on Raw, because Raw's commentary team, I gave it a chance. I gave it the month. It's terrible. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
It's bad.
Come on, man. I could watch that on mute and not miss much.
King ruins everything.
Turn it on during the promos. Yeah.
What does Dio Madden add? Sorry, he doesn't add anything.
No, he's got this funky niche where he adds, like, ricochet and his proprioception, which is understanding where your body is in space. Like, sure, I would. You start one, bench one, cut one of the three: Vic Joseph, Dio Madden, King. Start one, bench one, cut one.
I'm going to cut Jerry because he's had his opportunity.
Same, he gone.
It's just outdated stuff.
Well, he's like the pervy old guy, kind of.
Yeah,
he's still making the noises when the women are wrestling and
that
getting to a pose
like a decade ago. This is 2019 going on 2020.
I don't find a better bra and panties match commentator. I don't know.
God, but yeah, bench Dio Madden, because maybe if you gave him the right combination of people around him, he could become something. And I guess Vic Joseph is starting.
Way to go.
There's nothing special about him. I'd rather have Tom Phillips. Why is Tom Phillips not on my commentary?
Where's he at? That's a good question.
He must have done something. I don't know what it is, but we obviously can tell that commentary matters in the WWE. And, well, Pat McAfee made a big difference here on SmackDown. He was a part of that NXT invasion with Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, who showed up during Sami Zayn's backstage segment. And then they end up just chasing Sami around. That's pretty funny.
It was funny. Sami Zayn, hats off to him, talking tough, and sees him, and he's like, "Wait, guys, hold on." The way he talked himself into a corner, then tried to slide out. Entertaining.
Yeah, they chased him basically back into the ring, and just that gave them an opportunity to showcase their moves. And when I'm talking about I'm saying Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, which those of us that have seen them. Great talents right there.
Yep.
Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. And it seems like they're trying to make them a tag team, I think.
It's an interesting dynamic because Matt Riddle's super athletic all over the place. Keith Lee's an athlete unto himself. They're not playing the big little dynamic so much. We're pretty athletic. We're different sizes, but we're both very athletic. So I
tell you what, Keith Lee, he is skyrocketing up my power rankings.
I know.
That guy is putting on great matches. And he gets a lot of criticism for his theme song in the Bask in His Glory, but I think that's a good babyface thing. That's catchy.
Yeah.
It's different. Bask in His Glory. I'm here for that.
Bask in His Glory.
Bro.
Yeah. I'm fine with it.
That's the good stuff that the NXT crowd can, come up the top of their heads. But good to see Matt Riddle. Good to see Keith Lee. It didn't stop there. We knew somebody was going to interrupt Miz TV. I personally thought it might have been Johnny Gargano, but we haven't seen him in a little bit. So
Tommaso Ciampa, right? Yeah, pops in.
Who's like a face now? Ciampa is.
Yeah, and I'm cool with it.
No, me too.
He's one of the the pillars of NXT. That one of the faces, not in a heel babyface sense, but one of the faces of NXT, and he's one of the beacons that's coming out and saying that this is our brand, and when the OC was on NXT on Wednesday, welcome to the main roster. So
he treats NXT like it's a number one brand, which honestly, in my mind, and probably in yours right now in WWE, it is probably the number one brand. But his back and forth that he had with The Miz too, I just thought Ciampa was basically going to bury The Miz on the mic, but I don't know why I ever even thought that, because The Miz doesn't get enough credit. He was able to snap back. He's like, this is something everybody's been telling me for the last 15 years. He's been with the company for 15 years.
The Miz?
The Miz, yes.
It's a long time.
That's insane.
Tough enough.
Yes. It came from MTV.
Yeah.
He did The Real World.
He
There's
was on The Real
throwback.
World, and I remember that he was running around the apartment or the house with his WWE belts back in the day, yeah. So
he's been with the company for 15 years. That would lead us to a match. Pretty good one. And this is something you're never going to get the chance to see unless this incident in Saudi happens.
Right.
Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz is never going to happen. But since the NXT's invading, they get a solid matchup here. Ciampa gets the win. What were your thoughts overall on that?
I thought it was a good start. A good start to the evening, and it made NXT look strong. I think they could have. I I take that back in my own head, which I haven't verbalized yet. I like that they had Tommaso Ciampa beat The Miz. One of their good guys against the mid-card, mid-tier guy. And then that kind of segue, to the Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole main event, which I was a little bit more certain about that one than I was compared to the main event with Raw, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
And that was kind of set up backstage because we saw Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Daniel Bryan was basically saying, I know what's going on here. Adam Cole shows up and basically says, you know what? You want to fight someone? Shawn Michaels teases it by taking off his jacket in the back.
He's like, no, it's just cold in here.
It's just cold. Shawn Michaels, a nice little touch there. But then we would get Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan in the main event. But before that, there was more female talent that showed up. We saw Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox. So another weird combo
situation. Yeah,
I was sitting there. I'm like, "Where's Dakota? This is Team Kid.
Where is she?"
So we get Tegan Nox, we get Rhea Ripley. They take out Fire and Desire. Not really much to that towards a building or something, but it's just the more of, hey, we're here, we're taking over, screw you.
Covering a lot of the bases here. Yeah, women's division, mid-tier, top to bottom. We're sweeping it. Yeah.
And it's also showcasing two women that will be in the first ever female War Games match, Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox. So
right.
I guess from that standpoint, that makes sense. But what got everybody talking, other than absolutely everything that happened on this show, because let's be honest, we were all talking about this show.
And I'll tell you what, I watched this Saturday morning, by the way. I did not watch it Friday.
You were behind the initial hype train.
Staying off of Twitter for that amount of time, even Facebook, because I follow a few. I'm an idiot. I follow a few
Can't do
content
that on Facebook.
sources on you got to hit the unfollow button. Mm-hmm. But so I managed to stave off, but my excitement at 9 a.m. the next morning was still as high as it would have been that night.
It's just the unpredictability of it. Like, obviously, we knew most of the roster wasn't showing up, and we knew NXT was lurking, but the way they showcased every single one of these NXT talent, it was, and pun intended, it was an NXT takeover.
Well, and when if you're Fox execs and you pitch this on any other time without the roster being in Saudi,
right?
They're probably we don't need this, we don't want this. Why?
Do you think the NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown was happening regardless?
I do.
Because I'm starting to wonder, was that just created because of the Saudi travel issues, or was this always a part of the plan?
I feel like it was all part of the plan, but I have no reason to support my claim. But
maybe because it would take a while to get the graphics and everything probably set up for that.
Yeah, and trying to juice that third brand, trying to juice NXT.
And we didn't know that going into buying the tickets.
No.
So this is just a bonus for us.
That's like going to these shows. It's kind of like having a lottery ticket. Sometimes you have a stinker of a show. Like if I would have had a Hell in a Cell ticket.
There's only one stinker I think I've attended, and I think I brought it up a couple episodes ago. I went to a Raw before WrestleMania with T-Walk, and I was like, wow.
And that was one that I wanted to go to.
You should be glad you didn't.
And had a workout or something and didn't go, and I was like, okay.
Even there's pay-per-views I went to, Payback, and I got to see Evolution versus Shield in the main event. It's not going to be a stinker there, but main event here, also not a stinker. Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. What a match, Tuck.
They found, between Raw and SmackDown, they found two perfect guys to square off and make Adam Cole look great and also make the other two, Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan, look outstanding. And if you're Adam Cole, you got to be loving life right now.
I was going to say, if we had a wrestler of the week, it's Adam Cole, baby.
You fall into a spot. They're like, hey, dude, we need you to main event SmackDown. And then if you're not busy Monday, we need you to just go main event Raw too.
He said he found out about SmackDown only 20 hours before. He didn't know he was facing Daniel Bryan until 20 hours before. No. And they were able to put on this technical wrestling showcase between two styles that it was just pro wrestling art, I feel like. And, it finished off with the panorama? I don't know what I'm trying to... I don't know what Panama.
I think I can help with the Pan dilemma.
Yeah, that would be great.
Panama.
The Panama Sunrise. And then the last shot... Retaining clean, gets the cover, 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole, still NXT champion. The whole roster comes out, and I mean the whole roster, the NXT roster.
Yeah.
Trips on the mic. We are NXT. We're here. That's basically how the show ended.
First shot. Boom.
I mean, come on. How can you not get hyped after seeing
I was ready to run through a wall. Like I was part of his team. And again, that's that team dynamic. Adam Cole, the in-stadium promo where they're talking about Daniel Bryan setting up, Adam Cole walks up and looks at Triple H and we're on the same team, and I'm going to do this for our brand and our company. When Daniel Bryan's hanging out at SmackDown, he's like, you want to wrestle?
Yeah. And I think
how it feels, yeah.
It helps, too, when you have a crowd that knows what's going on. And this crowd on Friday knew exactly all these NXT talent. They knew when the chant, the baby, when the
hit
boom.
the booms, yeah.
Like, when the crowd is into it, it helps the audience watching at home.
No doubt.
Because everything's just coming together as one. I can't say the same thing about Raw.
I would agree there, too. And as a spectator, too, if you're not sure, if you've been out of the loop, if you're in and out, if you're not a supermark like, Kyle here.
Thanks, man.
The indicators from the crowd almost clue you in on what you need to know, right? If the crowd's reacting one way or another.
Exactly, yep.
Or if they're not reacting at all, which if you look at Raw, now I've heard things, but the Long Islanders,
dude, even Corey Graves shit on him on his podcast. He was saying I don't know who I should be talking to about this, but we need to work out ways of not going back there. Like he just straight up said that.
Well, dude, it was almost like they were wrestling in a library.
Why even buy a ticket if you're just going to sit there and watch it like it's ballet?
Right.
Get into it. Get involved. Scream. Lose your voice.
I'm an adult, dude. And I go to these things.
I'm an adult, dude.
I'm just going to I'm a man. I'm almost 30.
I'm 40.
It's an escape, right? You go and you're in this world. You feel like you're a part of the show.
It's different than watching it, too.
Yeah.
Because you are in the show.
Right. You add to it. It's not like when you go to a Broadway musical or something like that, and I've explained defended why I like wrestling to people who don't like wrestling.
That's always tough.
It's you buy a ticket and you go to a show so people can execute the thing they're trying to execute. I do that. Mine is just like Jack Men in Tights. That's a thing that I like.
It's a male soap
and
opera.
I understand
like it.
the drama and stuff like that behind it. Super athlete. You're not going to. I don't want to take a bump.
No,
I want to watch those guys do it and do it pretty good.
I can't confirm taking a bump is a pain. Literally. Running the ropes, it hurts. I've done it.
You watch Tough Enough and see how after they learn how to run the ropes, they're beat to shit.
I had a 5-minute, and it wasn't even a match. It was just me and Ed messing around. I was gassed. That's another thing you don't account for. It's exhausting.
No doubt.
Because you're constantly moving. You're constantly doing things. And, man, I props to anybody that can do it. But just this SmackDown in general, I've been watching since 2011. Best SmackDown I've seen live.
Really?
Best. I couldn't think of a better one. They brought up one where Jeff Hardy, I think, fought CM Punk. I heard people talking about what was the greatest SmackDown then.
Yeah.
That one got brought up. I think they had a ladder match, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for someone that's been watching for almost a decade, I haven't, and I sat here and watched it with Aaron right over here. Multiple times I popped.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get me to pop on a normal Friday SmackDown.
Yeah. When the previous 2-3 episodes leading up to it have not got you jacked up.
Exactly.
And, sometimes you have those moments where you cheap pop because you've been waiting a week to just pop.
Explode.
And just give a reaction. I think now we're watching with one eye open, trying to see if they'll get it out of us. And Friday they did. The stock is rising, which is great for us who have a crap ton of tickets to a lot of shows coming up here.
And it's slowly creeping.
Oh, man.
We are getting into the nitty-gritty. If you did not know, we're going to SmackDown, War Games, Survivor Series. Tuck will be at Raw. I will not. And then the following Wednesday is AEW Dynamite.
Whew.
The marks are taking over Chicago.
Yeah, the new shirts came in, and the shirts for the podcast came in. Those shirts are available and will all continue to be available.
That's good to know.
We're going to print them in batches. That link is evergreen. It's up there. They'll receive orders, and basically the company's going to print when we tell them to go. So,
what was that company? Endless Entertainment?
Endless Entertainment out of DeMotte, Indiana. They do a great job. Sports teams, no minimums. People forget.
Yeah.
No minimums. Like
touch.
you can get a shirt with your face on it just cause. And they tier their pricing. One is going to be more expensive than a set of 12.
I think you need a shirt with your face on it, and it just says "Ducky."
I'm in.
Like
Ooh,
with that from that header picture that we have on Twitter,
yes.
you just pointing.
Tuck it.
It's like I want you to listen to the On the Mark
Yes.
Wrestling podcast.
We need to get that in.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the Twitter header @Pod on the Mark.
Hip.
You got to get the plugs in.
No doubt.
All right, let's move over to Monday Night Raw. There's not really much I'm going to touch on when it comes to matches, but we got to touch on the main things that happened here because there was some solid things that happened. It kicked off with 3 black SUVs arriving to the arena. We see Triple H come out of the vehicle. What do you think this means when you see that happen?
We're back. Yeah. And going into Raw, I didn't know what to expect because they said we fired the first shot. And Raw was not expected to have a depleted roster given the Saudi Arabia travels and everything.
Full go.
So how was it going to mix? And I think it muddied it a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely not what we saw on SmackDown. It was a little bit of that, but turned down like 5 notches.
Yeah.
It was more of a Monday Night Raw that we've been accustomed to seeing lately, which it was okay, but you kick off with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, same duo that kicked off SmackDown. Mm-hmm. And basically, like they said on SmackDown, we're coming over to Raw because he's Brock Lesnar. He can do what he wants, and that's basically it.
And I do think Paul Heyman touched base on the Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross transition. And I do think he tried to tie up some loose ends. He did not make it crystal clear on how things like that were going to happen, but he also tempered expectations and said Brock is special. Other people are not going to be able to do this.
Point.
Do not act like or do not think that this is going to be a common thing because I think he expected that, he's realistic. We're going to draw criticism for this switch if we don't vindicate it. But
yeah, you're going to have smart Mark saying, "Well, why can't Roman Reigns do that?"
Well,
he's not Brock Lesnar.
He's not Brock Lesnar.
He doesn't have that draw. He's not the beast, Mm-hmm. And
yeah, and one of his arguments was who is going to step up to Brock and change his mind? You won't. I won't. He talked about going through the whole stadium and slapping everybody.
All the hillbillies. Didn't he say something like that? He's like, none of you hillbillies are going to come over here and fight Brock Lesnar.
He'll slap every one of you, yeah.
I mean, is he wrong? Is there a bigger name right now in the WWE than Brock Lesnar?
Who?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
The fact that he is moving over to Raw just because he can and that there was a quote-unquote future draft pick and that's him.
Sure,
we're behind it and it makes sense. You don't want to have 2 major champions on one brand, so... Right. Raw gets the beast, Brock Lesnar. And that's not all. We would find out that they are penciling in this WWE Championship match with Rey Mysterio, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. We thought this maybe was in the near future. We're actually going to get that match.
Yeah.
What's the thought process behind here?
I don't know. It's not a brand versus brand kind of thing, but I'm interested to see what they do with it because... Kane's hurt, right? He's going to be on the shelf a little bit.
Legitimate injury.
Right.
And he was signed to a 2-year deal, like a full developmental deal, so he will be back. Like, that's not a one-off for him.
So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. Okay.
I'm curious on, are they going to give this a chance? Like, meaning, is this going to be a match or is this going to be a squash?
Right.
You squashed Kofi.
They squashed Kofi, and Ray has only had offense with weapons.
Maybe they put in a stipulation here in the next couple weeks. But then again, if you give a stipulation to Brock Lesnar against Rey Mysterio, that's not fair.
Yeah, right.
Here, give Brock Lesnar a chair against this 5'7" guy.
Ray can use weapons. Brock can't. It's for the title. Go get him, boys.
I still don't think it's a fair fight. I really don't. But I think if they give him a chance, you got 2 guys that are veterans. These are Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. They know what they're doing. They have ring psychology. They know how a match should work.
Brock looks great with the smalls.
That's a great
There's
point.
no doubt about it.
Daniel Bryan, phenomenal match. AJ Styles with Brock Lesnar,
mm-hmm.
Another phenomenal match.
Finn Balor looks strong. Seth Rollins.
If you give it a chance, it could be good. Do you think this crowd is going to be, and we're going to be in Chicago, you think this is going to be a pro-Brock crowd, or is this going to, you think people will back Rey Mysterio since he's the underdog?
I think they're going to back Rey Mysterio.
I agree.
I think normally Chicago is a dog-type crowd. Even at Money in the Bank, before Becky Lynch was the man and she was still doing the Irish steampunk kind of gimmick,
mm-hmm.
she wasn't even thought of in that top tier.
No.
And Allstate was bumping for Becky, so I think I think Chicago likes to kind of flex its intellectual
Well, they're called
muscle.
the Second City, aren't they? Isn't that like the thing?
Yeah, and
Underdog City.
right.
So that's why CM Punk was back against John Cena. John Cena was always the favorite and the golden boy. CM Punk wasn't. He was the underdog. So I can definitely see if they give this 5 minutes, it being very good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a chance here, but realistically, Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio, Brock's got to retain.
I mean, is it the main event? Do you even main event that one? It's not for the Universal title.
What do you main event with? Mm-hmm. That's tough. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Or what are we going to see with The Fiend? We have no direction right now. No idea who The Fiend's going to face. Is he going to face off against Adam Cole?
No, don't do that.
Don't
do that.
That'll ruin Adam Cole.
I liking Adam Cole.
Yeah, and Adam Cole and The Fiend are kind of like par right now because they both are on this hot streak. Mm-hmm. Don't put them together. You keep them separate.
You're going to have to put somebody in front of The Fiend like Monday.
Well, it's going to have to
Friday.
be on, I was going to say it's going to have to be tomorrow because we're recording this on a
it's gotta
Thursday.
be
Maybe they
/
plant
today
seeds tomorrow.
You have to, right?
And I'm trying to think. I'm looking up and down their roster. I'm like, I don't know.
Because it's three weeks from Friday this weekend. Yeah,
I know we talk about this all the time, but is Aleister Black a part of? No, he's a part of Raw, isn't he? I think he's a part of Raw.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was going to say Aleister Black makes so much sense because what is he doing? Yeah, he's on Raw, so there goes that idea. I thought that would have been
Survivor Series, brand supremacy.
Yeah, maybe a guy
but but Brock's title is going to stay on Raw.
Also,
so
true.
it's almost a shoe-in that if
It's
someone
gotta be a
from
SmackDown
Raw,
guy.
right?
So I guess we'll find out tomorrow. And if you're listening, hopefully we do.
Hopefully you'll find out
Will you
later
be watching
this
live?
evening. Probably not.
What, birthday
wife's got
celebration
plans,
starting
yeah.
over? Yeah.
We'll see.
If you're listening right now, my co-host across the table from me, he turns 30 next Friday. So
Yeah, the 15th.
make sure you wish him a happy birthday on Twitter at JimTuck89.
I just hope my birthday's too sweet.
How many times are we going to get too sweet? The two sweets won't end there.
We're trying to come back from 2 weeks.
That's very true. There's a lot to
Two
catch
sweet
up on.
weeks.
Yeah, too sweet. Jesus Christ. Let's move on here. Natalya and Charlotte were teaming up in a tag team match.
It happened.
Why?
Bro, I don't care whatever you're about to say, but if you try to convince me that hot tag was about to be a thing, that was the worst. The worst.
They're blowing that up on Twitter.
And rightly so. I saw that live, and I'm like, what the fudge is happening here?
I was just like, what is Natalya and Charlotte right now? Like, they both have kind of hinted towards being heels at times and baby faces, and I don't know what's going on, but they defeated the Kabuki Warriors, who are the tag team champions.
Yep.
So is this a thing? Is Natalya and Charlotte going to be an ongoing tag team? It shouldn't be, in my opinion. They're two separate entities.
Yeah. They're like their own brands, right? You know, Natalya is the. If you put Natalya in a tag team with Charlotte, who's going to face Lacey Evans? Is the real question.
That's also true. Lacey needs a blonde to face. Everybody knows that for sure. But yeah, they get the win here. I'm assuming that will get them a tag team championship match. But what they're doing with the Kabuki Warriors, I'm digging it.
Yeah,
it's good.
I am a fan. Even the Paige spot that we from 2 weeks ago.
Yes, that's SmackDown, right?
Get her out of the picture. Yep, and I like the two of them. I like seeing Asuka. I could do without the green mist like pouring from her eyes, like the makeup.
I think that's cool.
That's fine.
It adds to the heel persona, which they now have to portray.
Yeah, Dio puts that mist over like a motherfucker.
You can say it, Doc. You can
it.
say it. I'll take a drink if you do. I got a lot of alcohol over there. Speaking of that, alcohol, I work for an alcohol distribution company, and if you're below the age of 21, do not drink. That is not legal.
That's not responsible.
Exactly. And if you're going to drink, don't drink and drive. Get an Uber or call a friend. Call one of us.
Or just stay wherever you are. Just
like you
sleep
might
there.
be staying at my place in a couple weeks after AEW. We'll
Not
see.
out, yeah.
But yeah, I just got a free bottle of gin, so I'm very happy. That's
Big
my
boy, yeah.
drink of choice. What's
There
your
you
drink
go.
of choice?
I'm a beer guy.
Yeah.
Beer guy. I like porter stouts and like wheat beers.
I went to Tomato Bar the other day. This is totally off topic, but I had a stout there. It was like a Neapolitan.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah. Coffee, a very strong
Right.
coffee taste. And
Yeah.
Those could be dangerous.
They sneak up on you. That was my follow-up comment to that, yeah.
Don't drink more than 3. That's all I'm saying.
One time I had a 6-pack of Robert the Bruce from Three Floyds.
Oh, I know those.
Dead.
Yeah. T-Walk had 6 Alpha King at an IU tailgate one time. He got kicked out of that tailgate. But let's move on.
Is that King Cranks?
That is. Let's move on here. Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins would come out. Everybody's wondering what's next. What's next for the man that's going to burn it down? He doesn't even know.
Yeah.
He comes out there very melancholy. What's next? He don't even know. He says he's out of energy. What
I don't know
mean?
that I've always rebuilt and revived and reclaimed and
Redesign, rebuild, reclaim.
That too. And I don't know if I have the energy for it. And I'm telling you, that did not put me in favor of him.
No, and I think that's what the goal was of this promo.
I would have rather had it. I would have rather built up more heat from him, from my perspective, if he came out on him. Screw it. I'm the heel.
He just needs to go off on the fans. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying on Twitter, and he's referenced Twitter a couple of times. Like, that's a thing,
dude. It's on him.
He's mad. You could tell he's mad.
The Twitter sphere is swimming laps in his head.
Just go with that. Be like, I see all you nerds at home tweeting on your cell phones behind a computer screen or whatnot.
Not doing everything that I do on the road.
I've carried the brand for a year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, just roll with it. But they're not. Triple H would come out. That's interesting because we know Papa H is there because of NXT.
Right.
Basically, would get in the ring. He goes, I know Seth Rollins. I make Seth Rollins a champion. I've done it in the past.
Yep. You've been with me. Become a champion. Been with me. Become a champion.
And I think he was kind of trying to insinuate if you come to NXT, maybe you can be a champion there too. Because he was saying, what's next? But the Undisputed Era would show up, basically say you're either with us or you're against us. A little bit of a tease here that maybe even more of the main roster could be making the jump over to NXT. Who knows?
Yeah, and I'm good with it too.
It's smart.
But again, they've worked so hard to establish realistic lines between SmackDown and Raw and the trades and things like that.
True.
Is NXT just like you can come like freely, like come hang out and
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. You can't just be like a brand you can always hop onto. There's got to be.
But I do like it's almost like Triple H is trying to really build his stable going into Survivor Series, and he will recruit and pick a couple, which is something that would happen in real life. You're going into a war. I'm trying to get
scouting.
my dogs. Yeah, and I like that. And, Seth Rollins says, I'm not coming down if I'm not going to be the top guy.
And we know he would probably be the top guy if he went to NXT, but there's a lot of talent already there. So it's a little bit of a crowded scene if he were to go to NXT. And I don't think he fits in that right now. He's a main roster guy. But that would basically just tease the main event, Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins. But before that, his future wife, Becky Lynch, would have a sit-down interview in the back. It's cool to see the champ. We didn't know what was next for her until Shayna Baszler once again made her presence known.
Yeah.
And Shayna's doing very well on the mic.
She is. That was a pretty gripping promo because I'm pretty used to seeing Shayna in the ring cutting the mean promo and lashing out at the fans a bit and this or that. But to have that sit down, camera-fied view, I mean, she looked great.
It was intense. You could tell they were telling stories with their eyes. And when you're seeing the facial expressions and someone's eyes light up, it tells a story without even saying a word. And you could tell that, I don't know if it's true, but Shayna and Becky, they got beef.
Oh, really?
And Bayley feels bad about it because she's being left out of this equation. You could see her chirping on Twitter. But that's what we're going to see at Survivor Series, triple threat between all the women's champions. It's going to be a good one.
Is there any title contingency on the line, or is it just bragging rights?
It's just bragging rights, which I don't see Becky losing.
Yeah.
Like, how is Becky... I'll tell you what. I'd tell you who's not winning, and I might be completely wrong about this. It's Shayna Baszler. I don't think she gets the win here.
I don't think so. I could see Bayley coming up with a smart, heelish way to win.
Sasha.
Because they like to put that, she's the Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, it's true. Well,
and it will... you don't need juice to have Becky be hot.
Also true.
Bayley needs a little bit of help still.
Very true.
I think. So, there's a Becky and Shayna duke it out, and Bayley finds a way to slip out, and
kind of like what Roddy Strong did a couple weeks ago on NXT.
Yeah, one of those like smart, witty, dislikable type wins where you commend them for winning, and like I get it. Like Roderick Strong, he did his job.
Smart.
Yeah,
a smart heel.
And it wasn't like a cheap win. He didn't need anybody. He played to the advantage of being in a triple threat match.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So we'll see what the build is for the next couple weeks with that. Main event here on Raw, Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins, another NXT championship match. Not as good as the one with Daniel Bryan. I think the commercial timing kind of ruined a little bit of that.
Yep.
They also were on more of a time crunch, I believe. What were your thoughts on it? Rollins would get the win via DQ because the Undisputed Era would get involved.
I think the vibe, though, was not completely certain that Adam Cole wasn't going to win. I think there were some
You ran a poll, and people said Seth Rollins. You said who
close.
will walk away.
The most popular one was the dumb finish rule, and the way that Adam Cole won
wasn't that dumb.
Was in regards that would have been that third tier, like
correct
other win, another type of Adam Cole retain, and it's a smart way because it doesn't make Seth look super weak. He didn't lose. Adam Cole didn't need help to beat Daniel Bryan, but he needed some juice to get past Seth Rollins.
And it just keeps the whole NXT versus the main roster thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to continue over to NXT. That happened last night,
yep,
where the OC would attack the Undisputed Era before they would go live, before the show even started.
Right.
Which I kind of would have liked to seen that.
I was on the treadmill 12 minutes before, getting my little workout going. They actually cut to that 10 minutes before the show started, too.
They did.
I
saw
same
that.
Cut, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which was nice, which it showed that they were there and made me hope that there was a little bit more.
And we would all find out there is going to be a little bit more. But they'd kick off the show with the OC, basically just calling them out, saying, we're now taking over NXT. We're the main roster guys.
Right.
We got the world's best tag team who just won over in Saudi and the United States champion. Ciampa would come out, continuing this whole, this is the main roster, welcome.
Yep.
And then the OC's like, hey, you just going to beat us up by yourself?
Yeah.
Who would end up joining him? Matt Riddle.
Oh, yeah,
Keith
Matt
Lee
Riddle, Keith Lee, yeah, they walk out. Matt Riddle needs to work on the flip-flop kicks lately.
It's not easy.
I'm not trying to say it is, but, come on, dude. I need a clean 2 for War Games, okay, bud?
And I like how we actually got a match and not just, like, a brawl.
Yeah.
Because, like, they didn't tease they didn't, like, have any physical altercation like they did with the Undisputed Era.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just stayed their distance, talked their shit. And it makes sense to me to have the OC come because they're the real only unit on the main roster right now that can actually go in and maybe take over. So what did you think about the OC coming to NXT?
I get it. I understood it. I thought it was good. I was hoping for a few more faces to pop up.
Agreed.
Because we got abused with it on SmackDown, and again,
in a good way.
Right.
In a good way.
Yeah. Like everybody was getting it. Bianca Belair, Dana Brooke, Carmella. Bye. See ya.
Pretty much, they're the people that are going to be on War Games showed
slapping.
face.
Yeah. And I was hoping that there was going to be a little bit more star power from the Raw and SmackDown fronts. And we didn't get it, but the match we got between the OC, Matt Riddle, and Keith Lee, and Tommaso Ciampa was a good one.
Yeah, you know what other match was good was Pete Dunne and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a thing that's continuing their rivalry. It was hard-hitting. Mm-hmm. We had high spots, and Damian Priest had some very interesting maneuvers.
Yeah.
Like jumping over the top rope and, kind of tight-roping the ropes a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy.
That was the guy that was Punishment Martinez?
Correct.
Right. So I only know him as Damian Priest, but he's got a look to him where he could be a nasty guy. He's got a great body. He's tall. His eyes, like his face looks heelish,
It looks like he can mess you up. Mm-hmm. And that's how Pete Dunne is, too. And that's what makes this such a good story.
Yeah.
Because these are two guys you feel like can easily break someone's bones just by doing one maneuver. Mm-hmm. They're badasses, and they had a good match. Dunn ends up getting the win here. We know Damian Priest got the win last week when they had their match.
Right.
So it kind of evened things up a little bit. And how he got his win, did you notice how Dunn got the win?
It was the idea was that he was like breaking his fingers, right?
Well, before that I'm talking about, he low blowed him. And that's what Priest did
sure.
a week ago to get the win. So it's kind of payback for what he did. Even them up 1-1, and then do the snap of the fingers.
Similar to our scoreboard that we have going at Pot on the Mark on Twitter, our Wednesday Night War scoreboard.
I'll tell you what, we're not rigging it either.
Which, as it stands right now, before we add a tally to this one, it's 3-2 NXT.
Some would disagree, and some are asking, what's the scoreboard for? There you go. We decide on which show we enjoy the most on each and every Wednesday.
Let's respectfully tell each other our thoughts on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you're following us at Pot on the Mark. But after that match, we would see Killian Dane. He would basically beat down both of them, which I found interesting because usually he would just maybe attack Pete Dunne, but he got into it with Damian Priest.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna mow both of you down and do establish my kind of footing.
What do you think the plan is here?
Triple threat?
That's what I'm.
But why? For? Because you haven't solved the Pete Dunne Damian Priest thing.
Maybe they just needed something for Killian Dane, or they can have that match at War Games and maybe put a stipulation like winner gets a North American Championship match.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, Roddy's going to be busy doing other things, I'm sure, but you got to build towards more shows. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a contender emerge, so maybe one of these three that are kind of mixing it up together will eventually get a shot. So, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm not like fully invested in it, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Another thing I wasn't fully invested in was Tainara Conti versus Santana Garrett, who would make her debut on NXT. Not really much to this. Kind of felt out of place, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
With all the speculation, the Pete Dunne Damian Priest thing made sense. They're in the middle of a story.
It's a thing. Yep.
We've got this Raw SmackDown buzz, and here's a lady you've never heard of wrestling another one who's not towards the top of that women's division in NXT.
Well, Tainara's been getting matches, but she's been losing all of them.
Right. So it's like, okay,
she got the win here. Oh,
cool.
Okay, we'll move on. Shayna Baszler and Dakota Kai, something that actually makes sense. This is kind of was a play-in match, I guess you could say, to maybe get on Team Ripley here.
Yeah.
Because there was an open spot, but I thought it was really good.
It was a great match. Dakota Kai looked ridiculously strong.
Now you get why I'm a big fan of Team Kick.
I'm on board.
You're aboard Team Kick, bro?
Yes.
With the hand and everything. You got to have that emoji.
I'm with it, yes.
I caught myself doing it. You can't see it because you're obviously listening, but where you shake your fingers like this, like hang loose.
Yeah.
I did that at Tomato Bar, and Aaron goes, "Did you just do that?" I was like,
"No."
I went like this. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh, God. I'm actually going on with Team Kick here." But I think their styles mesh well.
Yeah.
And that's why it works. And Shayna, we get the win via submission. What do you think? I'm sure you enjoyed this too.
It was a good match. Post match with Rhea Ripley, kind of frustrating because I think
it started with Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. They were beating on Dakota Kai.
Still don't like them.
I don't think there's a reason they're not on the card.
Right? Well, yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like it's Team Baszler, but she's not using her best friends.
Right. Well, and that would have been a way to set up an interesting storyline between the two for the two to turn. They can't. I understand
There's
they have to.
You can do with those two,
but it's
right
like
now. They're just there,
dude. I don't like the tall, gangly one. What's her name?
Jessamine Duke.
Jessamine Duke. I got her confused last. I still don't like her.
Jessamine, you're probably a good person. We're not saying you're a bad person, but man, those two.
As much as you wouldn't want me on your TV wrestling matches, it's mutual.
They wouldn't want either of us. And if you want me wrestling on your TV, just go check out CPWF 219 on YouTube.
It's there. I'm telling you. Oh, it's there.
It's a wormhole. Once you get in, you're not coming out.
It's a dark place. You're going to feel greasy after you watch it.
The commentary on those matches. Woo. Sorry for the language you'll hear there. But then, like you brought up, Rhea Ripley would come out to basically make the save. They were attacked by Io Shirai and Bianca Belair, who were representing Shayna Baszler's team. Ultimately, this would then have Mia Yim come with a kendo stick, make the save, and send the heels running. So, which we know now, Mia Yim's now the fourth member of Team Ripley. Thoughts on Mia Yim?
Dakota Kai could have beat Shayna Baszler if she would have had a kendo stick too. The way that match went, if she would have had a kendo stick, she would have.
Why can't you put Dakota in there instead of Mia Yim?
Raise your hand, you listeners, if you want Mia Yim in the War Games match over Dakota Kai.
I want the raising hand emoji. Tweet at us.
0 hands. We're not. That's one. It's a negative contest.
We probably
we're
not
not
going to get any responses anyways, if we're going to be honest.
No,
here.
give us a raised hand or a middle finger. Just that.
I'm
one
all
of the two.
Because Dakota Kai put up a valiant effort against Shayna Baszler, who's a beast.
If I'm Rhea Ripley, I want Dakota Kai because she looked like a dog. She looked tough. And again, she's got the 3 of us on her side. We're in it, mixing it up. Dakota Kai is not squaring off one-on-one against Shayna Baszler. Like,
you got to have the baddie with the kendo stick.
That's
man.
what I'm just.
I don't like it either, but hey, that's what we're getting. I think the War Games matchup will be good. Still,
who was sitting at home? Again, I'm going back to it. It was like, yes, Mia Yim, can't wait.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes,
I'm with you there. And everybody has their rights to be a fan of who they like, but Mia Yim just not doing it for On the Mark. We're Team Kick podcast,
yes,
as well as a Heavy Machinery podcast. So,
we
got that out
coming.
there. Angel Garza and Tony Nese had a match to determine the number 1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. 2 good wrestlers, but neither of them are doing anything for me right now.
No, Angel Garza lost his pants again, so there's that.
I get why people like him, because you could tell there's something there. It's just not connecting with me.
Well, and I think it's when you watch as much wrestling as we are now in this current weekly cycle,
9 hours
a
week.
It's hard to get invested in so many different corners. Same thing with, on the AEW front, we agree on the Orange Cassidy thing.
You saw my tweet about that.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement 100%. I don't have enough time. I feel like mental space to invest in all of these different avenues and areas. And it was a good match, tight match. It looked fine. It happened.
Angel Garza wins. He'll face off against Leo Rush. Probably will be a good match.
And I think the more we go with this current landscape of at least 4 shows a week. That's without watching AEW Dark, without watching NWA Power.
Still got to tune into it. AEW Dark.
I know. Because it means something. That stuff means something. The records and the results still mean something.
Just so much going on,
right.
like we talked about.
And we're talking about pay-per-views coming up, too.
Full Gear Saturday.
The people that draw are the ones that are different. And Angel Garza and Tony Nese was very chalk. It's just a good wrestling match.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's kind of what this next match was. We've seen a lot of Dominik Dijakovic lately. He would face off against Isaiah Swerve Scott, who we also are both big fans of.
Big fans.
And I'm going to say it again. I think Isaiah Swerve Scott is a star.
His stock is rising. It continues to rise. I'm interested to see what a dud looks like out of him because he's got this.
Think there is one
right now. He's got this youthful. People on Twitter kind of talk about how they feel like Ricochet is not the Ricochet of NXT on the main roster, and I wonder if that happens. If that could possibly happen to a guy like Swerve, but
I can see that.
It's Ricochet is adamant about defending himself, and he does prove a lot.
Ricochet has his
I'm
niche,
doing the same stuff.
He's like this superhero, real life superhero, and it works. That's a thing you're gonna sell. And I think Swerve Scott has his place in the future. It's just right now, Dominik Dijakovic needed this win more than Scott. Shorter match, good match.
But even
about
if you're Scott after that match, you're still like, I did my thing, and
that's where my attention goes from this match. Mm-hmm. We know DD won, but me and you were talking about Isaiah.
Yeah.
And that just shows you that, maybe he's doing something right. And I think
I'm going to have to reach out, get him on the podcast.
We can get these guys early. They might.
Those are the
before
ones
he
to reach
blows
out
up.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the Black Label Pro show on November 16th in Crown Point is a pretty good card.
We might have to dive into it. I was offered to go to a pizza bar crawl. Oh, never mind. Well, but maybe I will go.
Kylie Ray's going to be there.
Oh, man.
From slight AEW fame.
Hey,
there's a couple guys.
Kylie Ray, you want to come over to my condo and record a podcast?
Not creepy.
Yeah, it's not weird.
Not creepy.
Not weird or anything, Kylie Ray. Main event here on NXT was what we talked about earlier, the OC versus the NXT team of Ciampa, Lee, and Riddle. Good stuff.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm still expecting a little bit more of a mix-up with maybe a run-in or something.
Shenanigans.
Nothing.
No, it was very standard 6-man main event. But I think one thing, I don't know if you noticed this, I think they did a good job at making the OC look dominant. I feel like Gallows and Anderson hit harder there. Their moves were just more impactful for some reason on NXT. Maybe it's just because it's this bigger known superstar group here.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when I was watching this match, I'm like, I know Riddle, Lee, and Ciampa are talented, but the OC just feels like a beast.
Right.
And that's good. And I feel like that's what they wanted here. Good match, but what happened after the match is what shined.
And you're going to tell the listeners about that?
You don't remember what happened?
Not off the top of my head.
Finn Balor would appear.
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
Come on.
Jeez, yeah.
Come on now.
And did nothing.
What do you mean nothing? This is kind of huge. He had a stare down with AJ.
Yeah.
Throws up the too sweet. It's basically the OC, the Bullet Club from Japan, is kind of being hinted once again.
Okay, so that's why it was not so much to me. Got it.
Finn, when he was in New Japan, was the leader of the Bullet Club,
which is like the most popular indie shirt.
That's where the Too Sweet and everything made its return.
God,
he was Prince Devitt there. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Gallows, and Anderson were a part of the Bullet Club.
Damn.
I think this is their way of bringing them back together again. I'm assuming we're going to get OC with Finn against the Undisputed Era at Survivor Series. That could main event right there. That's a huge match.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the biggest takeaway from this main event was. Everybody was always wondering, now that Finn's heel, what are we going to do with him? Throw him back with his Good Brothers. He fits right in with Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. These guys traveled the world together. And that's why everybody popped. That's why there was such this big social media.
All right.
It was a no contest from the match itself, but it leaves you wondering what's next for Finn in the club.
Got it. Right. Okay.
Was this all a ploy, you think? Like Finn going to NXT just to get at the Undisputed Era? Or are they getting...
I don't know.
Is he just attacking from the main roster and invading them that way? Or is he just back with the club? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but that's what a cliffhanger is right there, Tucky.
Yeah, it worked because AEW's offerings from this week was fine.
You just fine?
I thought it was good, but the Cody promo, rock solid.
Let's get into it.
Let's
AEW
go.
Dynamite,
Sure.
November 6th.
Yep.
2019. Before you know it, we're going to be recording in 2020.
Dude.
Wow.
I know.
What a time.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But
Before you know it, we're going to be recording a live show in the hotel room after that SmackDown, probably. I don't know.
What's that going to be? Just our predictions, probably?
Reaction to SmackDown, heading into War Games.
Reaction to SmackDown.
3guys1bed.com. Mike and the Degenerate.
Do not Google that.
Don't.
I don't know what's going to pop up.
We will not take responsibility for that.
No,
right?
yeah. So sorry to the little kids listening, which there are none of you. None of you want to listen to us talk about wrestling because we're middle-aged men that talk about wrestling. But let's get into AEW. We'd see Trent versus Pac to open up the show. When I saw that match opening, I had little expectations. But I'm going to be honest with you here, Doug. This match delivered.
Yeah, it was a very good, very solid match.
And I think Pac's style is so intense, so vicious now that he is the bastard, that a lot of his out-of-the-ring spots, putting Trent through the barricade and all that, it just hits different. You know, like when somebody has that much intensity, I feel like Pac is that character right now in AEW that is a one true heel, because people were chanting that he sucks. And you don't get that out of smart crowds, and people call AEW smart crowds.
Right, yeah.
So I was a big fan of this. I think Trent plays the underdog role very well. But Pac ends up getting the win here. Overall thoughts? I thought this was a very good match.
Yeah, one of the better matches between both shows on the night.
Yep. And Orange Cassidy got involved.
Okay.
The kicks.
A lot of people like him.
The whole crowd likes him. I don't get it. I mean, okay, I get it.
I get it, but I don't.
It doesn't connect with me.
Right, same thing with me.
The kicks. Oh!
It was funny against the Young Bucks. I did think it was funny against the Young Bucks.
Wait, but it's not funny against Pac because he can rip your head off. And that's virtually what he did.
Right.
He's like, get the hell out of my ring. This is stupid. And
got it. Yep.
I love to see that. The best friends are over, but I think this was a good showing for Trent and himself. I think he is the star in that little group there with Orange Cassidy and I always forget the other guy's name, and that just shows you how much I care about the other guy. Sorry. I'm not sorry, but Pac gets the win here in the opener, which would lead us to Cody getting to speak his mind finally, because we know he didn't get that opportunity 2 weeks ago. It was interrupted by the Inner Circle.
Right.
So now we're really getting the true Cody promo, speaking on his AEW title match happening this Saturday at Full Gear. This was probably the best promo I've seen out of Cody Rhodes in his wrestling career.
Many people are saying that. I am not super familiar with Cody, being newly into it.
Well, that's good, though. Like, from
ago.
someone like you, what were your thoughts and takes from this?
I loved it, and I know the history that I'm kind of being fed, and I really enjoyed it. He's definitely got to win now at Full Gear, right?
See, I don't know. And going back to the promo, the emotions that he brought out.
Yeah, but that stipulation, though, right?
I know. Trust me, I'm gonna reference it, but I still think something's gonna have to happen, because I think it's too soon to pull the trigger on Jericho. He's way too hot. How do you take the title off of Jericho?
So that you can give it back to him the Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
It's Chicago, Illinois. Just because we're going, that's the only reason.
Yeah, but isn't that going to be a big show for AEW in the same
it's a
city?
Holiday show,
same city. Trying to send a statement. It feels to me like they've got potential to do a war gamey type thing. I am by no means making predictions that they'll do it then, but aren't they kind of building to they're really working hard on this faction versus faction, heel versus face kind of stable thing.
I get what you're saying, because you have like Cody and his supporting cast,
his squad, and Jericho just making stars with Sammy Guevara and everyone else in that stable. At some point, like that, isn't that your WrestleMania type match? Like the five of them, just squaring off, giving them 40 minutes, and
Well, there is a time limit. There's a 60-minute time limit on their match, and people are wondering. They're saying if I forgot what the exact. I got to look it up on the stipulation here, but I know there's some kind of stipulation for this match between Cody and Jericho that makes people wonder if something's going to happen that's like not normal.
But don't you think that isn't that what we get a lot out of WWE, which turns people to AEW?
And that was the criticism
don't you think,
of it.
Son of a gun? Because again, the a couple weeks ago when they used the time limit draw, half the people were like, it's really smart for AEW to show that because that's part of their thing, but they come up with and this is in air quotes, a creative way to end that Hell in a Cell match, and people are pissed.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those interesting dynamics. I think AEW right now is always going to get the benefit of the doubt because it's AEW
and it's new
and it's not tainted WWE product. But what's going on with this Jericho Rhodes match, Cody match?
Well, you basically kind of referenced it already that after 60 minutes it will be a draw. So if this thing goes over 60, nobody's really a winner here. So is that how Cody gets away? Because he's saying if I don't win, or if I don't lose, I don't know what it is exactly, but they will have 3 ringside judges if it goes past 60 minutes to decide the match. So what if this goes 60? Isn't that so? I hate that.
That's a long time, dude.
But what else is on the card? You have Rio facing off against...
you got the triple threat tag team match.
Yes.
Moxley and Omega.
That's true. I guess they do have a decent amount.
Young
they just
Bucks,
added Spears and Janela, too.
Young Bucks and the Power and Pride or whatever. Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't know.
Like, there's some decent...
But why would they reference, we have 3 judges here, if it goes over 60? Who just says that?
I hope it's just because they're trying to build their own credibility, but, like... Dude,
give me a winner. Full Gear prediction: Cody Rhodes or Chris Jericho, who walks AEW champion, walks out. Sorry, I forgot.
Cody.
Really?
They give it to Cody.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go the opposite of you. I'm gonna say Chris Jericho's gonna get a little bit of the bubbly.
Yeah, but like, He's never going to wrestle for the AEW title again.
There will be something where he makes he is the dang face of the company.
Yeah, but that loses your credibility, and I think that's what AEW has compared to WWE right now.
I don't know. I just don't see what it does. Jericho's the best thing going right now in AEW, other than probably Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but don't you think like 95% of the people are going to be behind Cody in that
100%.
Like all of them.
Like Cody has put so much into this from a promo standpoint, outside of the ring training, getting you emotional. He's the one bringing in the emotions. Jericho could just keep saying, all I got to do is show up.
Yeah.
I'm the champion. All I got to do is be there.
And there you go. Cody's pouring it in 24/7, and Jericho's getting a little bit of bubbly before the match, and then
that's where he slips.
Jericho loses.
Serious.
And now Jericho comes back. He's lit the fire of him and his faction.
Good point.
You square off between the elite.
Good point, Todd.
And the inner circle.
I'm proud of you. You're starting to think.
I'm trying, man, because
we're getting there.
I hate those, like, that's a statement you can't back away from in my eyes, because that's the wall between reality. You can't. It's one of those things where if you just bend it when it's convenient for you, you lose credibility as a company, and
especially in AEW right now, since they're trying to be less like
they're like tight, right? They're booking themselves as a tight run show, time limits, records count. It's very thoughtful. Right, it's deliberate. Yeah. Everything they're doing is deliberate, and like even the end of the night, the way this is their first go home show they've ever done, leading into a pay-per-view, and that last bit set up every big match. It gave you a spot for everything they need.
Have you been looking at my show notes?
No, not a bit.
It is not open. Can't confirm that. Right? No, I was going to touch on that later, but yeah. That pretty much sums it up right there. But I'm going to go with Jericho. You're going to go with Cody. But I totally get where you're coming from. Makes a lot of sense for Cody to walk out champion. But I don't know if we'll find out live, because I'm debating on buying it. Tucky might be doing stuff for his birthday. Who knows what's going on this Saturday. But we will eventually tune in, I'm sure. Maybe I'll be able to find a stream. Maybe. I'll let you know, and then you can watch it on Sunday, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll find something, I'm sure. But then we get a Private Party versus Dark Order match. This basically was a number one contenders match to see who would face off against the very first AEW Tag Team Champions. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. SCU. What were your thoughts about SCU becoming the first AEW Tag Team Champions?
Cool.
That's it?
That's about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that AEW doesn't feel the need to put the titles on their top guys 24/7 on the top. And now you have SCU versus Lucha Bros and the winner of the third place match, Private Party.
Yeah, and I think this was just, Dark Order, they stink. I'm sorry. These guys stink!
Raise your hand if you like the Dark Order. The same people who are raising their hand with Mia Yim.
And I think it helps that they are not that popular, because it makes Private Party look even better in this match.
Yep.
No doubt. I think they looked great. And I think the Dark Order played their role as being the heels. But, man, Private Party is young. Private Party has charisma. They have innovative tag moves. And we've referenced this before. The AEW tag team division is the best in wrestling.
There is no, we will not, do not DM us about that. We will not engage in discussion.
What do you think of their finisher, the Gin Juice?
I like it.
It's good.
Snappy.
Good name, too.
Mm-hmm.
I like Gin.
24, how do they weigh in?
Oh, God, it's funny.
It's something like that.
Yeah, it's
vodka cranberries or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, vodka cranberries are both. But yeah, so they would get the win, so they're going to be in that tag team championship match. Who do you think wins that? Do you think it goes off SCU or no?
I don't know.
I'm going to go Lucha Bros.
That's what I was going to say, too. Just, Lucha Bros, they don't have the title of being the first ever AEW champion. And now you put that on. SCU got it. So they're always still, that happened. They're always still in the mix towards the top there. And Lucha Bros take it and basically run away with it. I think that's the kind of the move right there for the Lucha Bros, going on this run. After SCU won it,
that wasn't
initially
as enthusiastic as mine.
No, because I have the monitors on.
That makes sense. Right. Yeah, you haven't given me the headphones anymore.
I got to find that quarter jack. You're right.
I got cut out from having the headphones.
Yeah.
It makes me feel less important. So
now I need you're gonna get a pair next time because you gotta. I want you to hear what I'm going
Well,
through.
I'm sure everybody driving with the podcast right now in the car is probably saying, "Shut the fuck up, Kyle." And I don't blame you because
if they were at a stoplight and their podcast was up, they'd be like, so who's dying in that car?
it's just SCU. That's all it is. Or they think SCU's there. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know who will be out there. But the next thing we're going to talk about here is Rio teamed up with Shanna. Is that how you pronounce it?
Shanna.
Yeah. Versus Jamie Hayter and Emu Sakura. I think I am butchering the hell out of those names. And honestly, that kind of speaks volumes here because... All right, listen here. Let's get into this, Tuck. I didn't think this match was bad. And I don't think these female wrestlers are bad wrestlers. I just think they're lacking star power.
Yeah. Agree on all fronts.
Who's bringing the merch in? Who is the marquee?
Probably Britt Baker. That's the one.
But she's not even on the show.
She's not even on the show. She's not even the champion. The women's division in NXT would
just in the main roster
annihilate. That's the AEW's weakest spot is their women's division.
Absolutely, and it's not bad. It's a lot better than the wrestling you would see back in the Diva era with WWE. But
sure.
I just need a little more. I need a little more story. I need to understand these characters a little bit.
Why? Okay, so why is Sakura going up again? Right, so it's like
why? Why is that match?
She's 1-0 in a dark match.
Maybe. Yeah.
No, she is.
Oh, that's why.
She is 1-0 on an AEW.
And I like
match.
Rio. I think Rio's talented. And she puts on good matches. And she's like this cute baby face that you just root for. But other than that, why should I be interested in this tag match right here? Give me one good reason. That's my point.
Yep.
It's just there needs to be something in the women's division. I don't know what it is, and it's probably maybe Karma, who's waiting in the ring. I know her name is now Kong or something like that, but they showed a video.
Well, Brandy kind of teased that.
She's kind of like the puppeteer.
Nyla Rose is
gone, obsolete, which we don't care.
Weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, We're not huge fans of hers, but the match was kind of long, and I could do without it. And that's about it. That's all I got to say, really.
It happened, yeah.
I want to do a mini rant there just about the AEW women's division because I got to be critical about something.
Right.
You can't just say, hey, this show's a lot better. But we would lead then to a Brandon Cutler versus Shawn Spears match, another short match, decent, not much to it. Give a win to Shawn Spears. Okay.
I think Brandon Cutler was kind of the right guy to do it, too.
He's pretty good.
It was a good match. Brandon Cutler didn't look like a wimp, but he also made Shawn Spears look strong.
I think he had better moves than Shawn Spears. Like he kind of looked better in the ring than Shawn Spears, and that's not good,
right?
Because they're trying to build Shawn Spears up here, which it seems like what was happening to him in WWE. He was getting lost in the shuffle.
Who was he in WWE? What was his name?
Ty Dillinger.
Perfect 10. Got it. Okay, got it.
The only reason why people liked him.
Yeah.
He had the 10-10-10 thing going. He got lost in the shuffle there. I have a feeling he's going to get lost in the shuffle here in AEW.
Yeah, he's got the Tully Blanchard thing going for him. He's got the chairman thing. I wonder how many people are aware of the chairman stuff this far after the shot heard around the world.
Yeah, that's his claim to fame right now. And he ended up losing that match. So after that all just...
Right.
That means nothing here. So, yeah, that match happened. Got to give Shawn Spears another win to build him up a little bit. But then that would lead us to our main event. Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus two members of the Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. I think this match was good. I think it was a very good main event. Not great, but it served its purpose here.
Yeah, it was a good go home main event match with the scrum after it really securing and sending the message. I think Sammy Guevara is poised to be. I think he's fit nicely onto Chris Jericho's teat.
He's being compared to Eddie Guerrero, which is very high praise.
I'm not sure I'm going to go there yet.
I'm not going to jump on that take either.
But he's got a lot of swag. His stock is some of the highest in the company. He's only 26. This Spanish god,
Don't like how he did a knockoff Tyler Breeze kind of thing.
That's the thing. People are saying.
I don't like that.
I don't need it.
don't know if they... I mean, I get it because he's like this young millennial vlogging type guy.
Yeah.
But Tyler Breeze literally brought a selfie stick with a live camera showing up on your TV.
Right.
Like, that's the same exact thing you're doing here in AEW. Why you try to be different? That's all I'm saying. But Jericho would get the win for his team with the Judas effect. But the story was basically what happened after. Like you were talking about, Cody would come out to make the save because the Inner Circle was beaten up. Sammy Guevara was there, Jake Hager. MJF then appeared, part of Cody's posse.
Yeah.
He attacked the heels with a chair. Got a couple chair shots
I
in.
think his turn's like a year away still.
Yeah, and it's weird because we know he's a heel, but he's backing Cody Rhodes because they're real friends, like in real life. So it's a weird phase right now for MJF.
Yeah.
But I like him. I think his time will come.
They don't have to turn him now. Let it burn for like a year. That the turn in like 12 months from now, 14 months would be like nowhere. Again, I'm not comparing it to like, I'm not saying it's going to be as impactful as like the Hulk Hogan NWO turn.
Sure.
But like that's a turn you don't forget. People turn left and right, But if you let it burn for 12, 14 months, that moment at a pay-per-view, whew.
Yeah. It'll be a special moment for sure. But that wasn't all. We were getting everybody coming out of the locker room. John Moxley, he appeared from the crowd. He had a barbed wire baseball bat in his hand. He stared down Omega, who then would go out of the ring, get a barbed wire broom. Yep. So they have their own little standoff thing because they have a match. Santana Ortiz would then attack. The Young Bucks then come out because we are just basically doing what we can with this segment to build to every single match that's happening at Full Gear. And honestly, I think this is what we would call controlled chaos.
Yep.
It made sense to me.
Yep.
What about you?
And again, this is the first time they've ever run a long segment like this that has different spots in it that amid the chaos, we still have to showcase these little pieces and spots. And it was good.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was Matt Jackson. He got that cool spot diving off the ladder on the entrance stage.
Yeah.
Very cool there. But that's just their way of saying, hey, if you want to see more of this, tune in Saturday on pay-per-view.
Give us $50.
Yeah, which is, hey, that's what we had to do when the WWE Network wasn't around.
That's true.
I would try to gather money from my friends. Hey, pitch in $10 here. Yeah. That's how I watched Money in the Bank. That's how I watched my first pay-per-view. I bought it. So that's what it kind of feels like. I'm getting into that new wrestling feel, and it's nice. And I'm looking forward to Full Gear. I think it'll be a good show. But like I said, I don't think either of us will be watching it live.
I don't, unless my wife's birthday surprise is flying me to Baltimore to see it live, which is 100% not.
I wish it was for your sake.
I would die.
Yeah,
I would die.
That would be such the.
But I won't be seeing it live either. It's supposed to be. We leave pretty early. It's supposed to be an all-day thing. I'm going to doing a bunch of different stuff. I have no idea.
Tucky maybe will be tuning in for
Tucky.
Full Gear.
It's going to be Tucky Mania on Saturday. I don't know what's going to go on, but I'm excited.
It may be wild.
Yeah,
maybe. But here we go. We got to get to the scoreboard here. The scoreboard, like you referenced earlier, it's 3-2. NXT is in the lead right now on shows we have enjoyed more. A little side note here. I always get a little bit of my recap stuff from CagesideSeats.com. I don't know if this means anything to you, but on their scoreboard, they always do a poll with their readers.
Yeah.
It's 4-2 AEW right now.
Ooh, okay.
So right now, we're 3-2 NXT. For November 6th, which side are you leaning? It's a half a vote.
Are we going to do 3? I think we should do 3, 2, 1, and then we say it.
3, 2, 1, and then go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost just...
I know. I did that 2 weeks ago. All right.
3, 2, 1, AEW. Okay.
Oh, wow. Why are we always on the same page?
I don't know.
Give me some reasons.
So now it's 3-3. I think there was a little bit more hype. I think part of it was me being slightly let down that there wasn't more star power on the NXT show. And AEW had the good Cody Rhodes promo. We didn't talk about the Jericho bit, that segment.
Yeah,
it was
talk
great.
about that a little bit.
It was great. It was very enjoyable. There were some spots during that promo that were kind of like jabs at Cody and Brandy, and
it's perfect for Chris too.
It was just fun. Like you could tell that it was a thoughtful piece that it showed Cody's out there with passion and fire, and he's ready to go, and Cody's cutting pieces to just kind of poke fun at it, or Jericho's poking fun at it.
Right.
I like that. I like the scrum at the end.
I think it helps that it's a go-home show.
Right. And that's what they got going for them, yeah.
And I agree with you, of course, with AEW, but for me, this was the closest call. Mm-hmm. I think both shows were good, but none of them stood out in their own way.
And I think we've been spoiled each week with having a pretty impactful show one way or the other or both.
There's always something good that happens in either one of the shows, if not both.
Yeah, and this is my first time that I watched two shows separately too.
Okay.
I watched NXT live. I had to see that live. I was feeling it, and then I cut to on Hulu. You get it right away. You can watch whenever you want. So I watched it.
Same with my website that I'm not going to say on the air because
there you
never know what can happen.
Yeah, all of our listeners might get shut it down. We might crash the site.
Yeah, we don't want to shut that down.
So that's why I lean towards AEW. A few more moments, but again, I think we are being spoiled on Wednesday nights because they're both very good shows. If we got one of those shows on SmackDown or Raw, we'd be like A+, So,
and I think SmackDown was an A+. Like if we're going to compare all the shows we just talked about, I think SmackDown gets the win.
Won the week for sure. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know where SmackDown's going to be able to go with that from here for this week. That is, it's probably not going to live up to the hype. But for the Wednesday Night War showdowns, we're both going with AEW, which makes it 3-3.
Yeah, we're tied at 3. I wonder where we differ with Cage Side Seats. Like trying to flip back which show they gave the nod to AEW and we went to NXT. Was it the first week?
I'm going to quickly try to pull it up here.
It might have been the first week. Because I think a lot of the hype train was on AEW.
I think they've been flopping between. I think they were alternating for a bit. I know AEW won this week 55% to 45%. So
that's pretty close.
This might have been their closest one that they had. Here, I finally found the link here. This is bad podcasting, but who gives a shit? If you're still listening, thank you, though.
We really appreciate it.
October 2nd was 55% NXT. So that was the first one.
Oh, okay.
NXT won the first week.
Wow.
Second week, and these are all 3,000 or more voters. So this is a significant poll.
Nice sample, yeah.
Yeah. Dynamite in week 2 shattered NXT by 69%. Nice.
Hey, Mikey and the Degenerates.
The third week, 61% Dynamite. I think that might have been a week we actually gave it to NXT, so that's interesting. October 23rd, NXT barely edged them out by 54%. So when NXT's winning, they're barely winning. And then Dynamite last week, the week we didn't cover, 61%. And then this week that we just did cover, it has went up to 56%. So right now, it sits at 4-2 AEW.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to have their own opinions, and ours are the right ones.
100%.
If you're listening to other people's opinions, you're a loser. You're a mark.
Lame.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all we got for him this week. Tucky, what do you say?
Yeah, I think that's it. We really appreciate you listening and sticking with us. Make sure you follow us at Pod on the Mark on Twitter. OnTheMarkPod.com is up and active as a storefront basically over there. Make sure you follow at _OTSN on Twitter and visit OTSportsNetwork.com for all your sporting world needs. Mm-hmm. Until next week, I am Jim Tucker with Kyle Gagliardi. Thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark.